So Al Jr., though, what is he thinking? He roots for his father.
Well, he is rooting for him now. Little Al is running good. He's in 4th place. But I guarantee you that he's really pulling for Daddy right now. Now we have a yellow flag.
Yellow flag with 8 laps to go. It's Mario Andretti who has gone down into the infield.
This is not bad news for Al. This is good news. Let the car get down, cool everything off, burn away a few laps under the yellow. This can't hurt anything.
8 laps to go, so there won't be many laps left under the green when we come back after this yellow.
Well, let's try to cover all the little details. This is a 1986 March Cosworth car that Al Unser Sr. is driving. It is a year-old car. It's been a long time since a year-old car won the Indianapolis 500, and that says something about the present state of technology in the sport. A little bit of a state of flux there, but that is just the mechanical story. The human story is so much bigger and so much more compelling, and it all centers on that man, a quiet, very private man who lives in Albuquerque, New Mexico, just across the road from his brother on a plot of land that your father bought for the family a long time ago. He's a man who does not mingle as gregariously in some ways as a lot of other people in the sport do, but I'm sure that he has very strong feelings about what is about to happen to him right here.
Well, he's in good shape right now, Jim. He's got Johnny Rutherford right behind him. The pack will go around and get behind him. Unless he has a mechanical problem, Al will get by the finish now. He'll be all right.
Try to hang in here, Bobby. We've only got 6 laps to go.
You know, it's just 2 weeks ago that Al Unser was riding his bike around the garage area here, still hoping for a ride. The only ride he had was a small 2-wheel bike. Circumstances, Danny Ungaias had a crash in the 3rd Penske car, was badly concussed, could not come back and drive that car. Roger Penske went back to a man who has done so much for him in the past, including winning the national championship just 2 years ago. And so Al Unser now sits at the wheel of the car in this race, which is the envy of everyone else.
And isn't it ironic that the man who sits behind him, and we haven't given him a call all day, is Johnny Rutherford, another 3-time winner who, if he were in the hunt and he thought he had a good chance, would have been looking for a 4th victory today. Johnny Rutherford now watching as the man ahead of him proceeds toward a big plateau in Indianapolis history. You pointed out that he didn't have a ride. He had offers of cars as you look at Guerrero flying around trying to make up a little bit of distance under the yellow flag. He had offers of cars, but he said that he would only take something good, something that had a chance to win the race.
Well, and there aren't very many cars he could have picked from. Most of the cars were gone, and it's because of Danny Ungaias' accident that opened this ride up for Al, Jim, and he was very thankful for that, but he felt sorry for Danny. Of course, it was a head injury. Otherwise, Danny would have been in this car.
Of course, when he won the championship, I say the IndyCar World Series Racing Championship a couple of years ago, that was an opportunity which was opened up to him by an injury to Rick Mears, and he went out of his way to honor Mears for that by seeing to it that Mears carried the #1 the following year.
Yes, he did, and Al could, ironically, be the national champion again this year. We don't predict things till they're over with, but Al, like I said earlier, hasn't slowed down, and today, obviously, is in pretty good shape.
Al is not a fast qualifier. In 22 Indy 500s, he's been on the front row only 3 times, but he's won 3 times and finished second 3 times.
Now, I mentioned earlier, I said 6 laps to go. I was 1 lap ahead of myself, but now there are 5 laps to go. Al Unser Jr. is the car directly in front of that of Roberto Guerrero. And this harkens us back to 1983 when in a similar situation, Al Jr. tried to protect his dad from Tom Sneva. Is there anything he can do when they come back green to help make sure that his dad will win this race?
Jim, he really doesn't have to. There's nothing that's really necessary right now. Johnny Rutherford is right behind Al. Johnny's a good driver. Johnny knows what the situation is. There's nothing to go for. Al just got to be out there running clean air, take care of his car, make sure he doesn't break the transmission when he comes down for the restart. Little things like that are important, you know.
There's little Al, and you can see he's just a few cars behind Al Sr. You get a look at Guerrero, the car that is easy to spot even in the wide shot right there on the right of the screen. The big orange #4. It looks like a bomb about to explode. I'll tell you, that car looks fast even when it's sitting still in the garage. And we are now told that Guerrero's crew has told Roberto to just cool it. And they are now telling him, we are told, and we don't know for certain that it's true, that second is better than blowing it. All right, the green flag is going to come out, and you're going to have 4 laps to go. So the Indianapolis 500 is now the Indianapolis 10 for Al Unser Sr. as he tries to win it for a 4th time with 4 laps to go.
He's pulling away, Jim. He's in good shape. The transmission went through the last shifting it should do until the end. That's, thank God that went through good.
Do you think Guerrero is thinking to himself right now, I blew this race for myself, I stalled it leaving the pits?
Yes, Sam, but you know, as we talked earlier, we watched Mario as an example, missed a lot of pit stops through his career. Pit stops meaning come in, missed the whole pit. So Roberto made a mistake. He did that all last year. As we talked earlier, we really thought he was over that this year and on the road to good recovery.
When he won at Phoenix a month ago and broke through the window in a sense, because after being on the threshold for a few years, he won his first IndyCar event. He got help when Bobby Rahal stalled his car out in the pits on the last sequence of pit stops.
And even the very best are not immune to problems in the pits. Your brother Al, just 2 years ago, ran over his air hose going out of the pit and lost a hole, was penalized a lap, which cost him a chance at a last lap possibility.
Well, he finished 1 lap down. If he hadn't run over the air hose, he'd have been on the lead lap at the end and challenging Danny Sullivan for the victory. Now Sullivan stands in Al Unser's pit and roots for his teammate to win the Indy 500.
Can you just imagine how Roger Penske is feeling now? The absolutely winner of this race. No idea that Al Unser would be driving for him. Now, Al Unser could possibly win this race for him. Just 2 laps to go, Jim.
He won it in 1970 racing for Parnelli Jones. Again in 1971, he was the last man to repeat. He won it in a chaparral in 1978. He has not won it in 9 years, but he was 2nd in 83, 5th in 82, 3rd in 84, 4th in 85. And now it looks like he's going to add 1st in 1987.
And with that incredible record behind him, Jim, still, when I stood next to Al when he went out to qualify and to put this car in the show 2 weeks ago, as he put his earpieces in, we see him coming up to 1 lap. His hands were shaking so badly, he could barely get his earpieces in. So no one is ever immune to the pressures of this place, and I don't think on this last lap that he's immune to it either in that cockpit. Do you?
Boy,
Aaron doesn't want to look. Karen doesn't want to look.
Face, that tells you the story. She just crossed her fingers. She got everything crossed. She just praying to God that he can make it around the rest of this last remaining lap.
He's in the short chute between turns 1 and 2.
He's
going down the back stretch. Now he's into turn 3.
He can coast from there, right? Just about.
When he comes off at turn 4, he can slide across.
That's Chris Mears, Rick Mears' wife, hugging Karen. And now here it is. Your brother, Al Unser, joins A.J. Foyt as one of only 2 men ever to win the Indianapolis 500 4 times in his life.
That is fabulous. That is absolutely fabulous. I just cannot believe it.
Bobby, congratulations. That is simply fantastic.
Thank you.
That's just great.
This has been a day. This makes up for Robbie getting his leg broken.
Well, and I'm sure Robbie's watching right now. There's a television in that hospital room, we hope.
Yes, he is. Well, he's not watching TV, but he's listening to the radio.
Oh, that's right. He's listening to the radio and listening to Paul Page call this race on the radio as this telecast is blacked out until later this evening in Indiana. And the crowd now stands and responds for the man who can be called, certainly, one of the 2 greatest race car drivers ever in terms of his record in the Indianapolis 500. Rutherford next to him. You have to assume they exchanged a wave somewhere. And there's Little Al. Little Al pulls up next to his dad.
He's happy for his father right now, I guarantee you.
Little Al hasn't won yet, but this may not be the last Unser victory by any means in the Indy 500.
Oh, I don't think it will be, but the important thing is we have a 4-time winner in the Unser family. Al's done a marvelous job today, especially considering he came here without a car to drive.